All right. Hopefully the microphone's fine. I did just have to make some weird adjustments to it. It didn't seem to be getting anywhere near as high as it should. And it still kind of isn't getting to like the level I was hoping it would be at. I don't know what else I could change here. Like I was kind of hoping to just leave this down a bit. Up, test, okay. About right there maybe? Hopefully that's good enough. I don't know. We'll find out as people trickle in. Maybe I shouldn't be using that phrase. So we need the second one of these. It's a key thing. Because I want the second arm, and then we're going to figure out exactly how we can place them. Because this is probably like a this side one. Let me figure out where this other arm is. Yeah, supposedly Saturday I'm getting my Fire and Jade box. I'm gonna take it to the store I'm gonna play at and then build the train while I'm there. Okay. I'm pretty sure I hit the button, but there we go. if there's a way for them to fix the War Dog sprue, because every War Dog sprue I've bought have had that same weird little plastic component that you have to clean on this little part here, the little excess. Super obnoxious. It's not hard to clean, but it's still like, it's one of those things, it's one of the worst and most egregious, like, excess plastic. What's up, Diver? We're trying to imitate this, but in reverse. What's up, Steel? Was it like a bad loss, or was it just like a general loss? All right, so this is the part I actually have to worry about. Because if it's double on the outside, that means we need to do this facing up. So, one had a special planet rule of everything wholly on the objective had a 2... What? Wait. Was that just for like one army had the 2+ invuln? Because yeah, no, that's a guaranteed loss. Like, you can't even go to that point. And if the point is worth ridiculous amounts of points, I mean, it has to be narrative, so the person, I guess, who got the most benefit out of that was meant to win the narrative, because, like, you're not overcoming, outside of if you have, like, tons of mortal wounds, which most people don't outside of Thousand Suns, you're not winning the 2+ invulnerable save game. That's just not how it's going to go down. It's an impossibility. That's my guess, is that the narrative was set up for that one person with the 2+ invulnerable thing to win. Sometimes that is how it be. People try to imitate some of the big story moments in 40k lore in narrative. And, like, those are already pre-established moments, right? Like, they're done. Whatever was going to happen has happened. So what they do to try to do the narrative of it is they try to supply the faction that won with enough benefits that it's guaranteed that they're going to win again. But it's just about seeing what the other side could do in a losing fight. It was kind of like how it was always shown to me. Ah! Fell to the floor and survived. That's how you know the glue's doing okay. So yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how exactly to apply this underneath. I'm feeling like it's gonna have to deal with this hole somehow. Which maybe could come down to this. At the very least, this could be like the joint factor for it. Even if we have to trim off the innermost component. I feel at the very least it could be a much better base to bring the arms in and off of. We're also going to need to get some green stuff to start molding into the crease there. Like, we're going to have to get some green stuff together as like a single roll to kind of put up into these sides and along the inside here. Thin amounts. Part of me is thinking maybe we gut the main component, like the main clip part. I don't know though. Because I kind of want it to come forward a little. Definitely not the full circle. But if we can make it so it's just like the inner bracket part to at least have like a bendy bit that I can position before gluing, that might be a good idea. But what we'd be looking at is like this. Oh god. I do think I might need... Oh, this is actually the wrong side though. I do think I might need to green stuff it for the most part. I don't know. What was the narrative's focus? Is I guess like the key element here. Was it to reenact something, or did you kind of like create your own world? Or did they create their own world that they wanted to have like a situation occur in that you have to deal with? Because like narrative is still very new to me. Right. Like, I'm never 100% sure, like, what equates to a narrative. Like, what's the benefit or the value of certain elements that occur in narrative form. Let me make sure we get the other arm set and prepped before I make this green stuff ball, because I might have some more green stuff than needed. Because like I told you when you started talking about doing your narrative event, the locals to me did their own narrative, and one of the first things that happened in the narrative is one of the factions crash landed their ship onto the surface of the planet, which caused some rolls to occur for the person who was defending the planet at the beginning, because the person who was defending the planet at the beginning had a massive advantage for army size, and he was told why going into the game, and it was because at some point he was going to have to roll dice to see how much of his army died at the beginning of the game, and then he was going to have to make do with what was left over to then rebuild his forces and try to come back from behind. But like, he was told this, and then when it came time to follow through, he was mad that he lost so many soldiers. He was hoping he was going to roll really well and then like not lose anyone, which, I mean, that would have defeated the purpose of everything that was happening. So my favorite thing to wake up to this morning was seeing that that new Nintendo horror game. Like, my other job is to edit for a gaming news channel, and we talk a lot about Nintendo stuff. And Nintendo came forward and was like, "We're mature rated horror game." And everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's gonna be the new Silent Hill." Like they're gonna do something like that, but for Nintendo. And the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, this is gonna be like one of those friggin' like live novel situations. There's no way they're actually making like a real story, right? Like there's no way. And everyone's like, nah, they wouldn't do that. They did it. The constant reminder, man. I love it. It was hilarious. Like one of my favorite things to have occurred today. Yeah, green stuff. I'm gonna want to record parts of this. I'm gonna need to touch a lot of this up. Well, right now the problem is it's sold out. Because the Soul Forged, if you're unfamiliar, is really good with defilers. And the Soul Forged is probably one of the major faction rules that people want to use right now. because it's really good. Like, Soulforged is actually really cool. And it plays into the idea of just being like, I'm a tank-heavy army. And that's it. That's all it does. Just want to be a tank-heavy army, go Soulforged. And the best part about Soulforged is the more Defilers you feel, like, generally the stronger you are. Like, most people lean into Forge Fiends as kind of like their core idea for how Soulforged is supposed to play, and that's a good idea. But Forge Fiends aren't universal, so if something gets in on them, like, they're usually dead, right? Like, if it's a Forge Fiend, it's usually dead in melee. Mauler Fiends, you usually just shoot them to death. So, like, that's kind of the combo about how to deal with those general things. But what the hell are you going to do against the Defiler? Stay ranged, or stay long range from it, die. Get close, die. Like, that's how it works. It's such a baller unit that just deals so much potential damage. I've been debating getting one for a very long time now, just because my original army and build used one. Come on. This is why I hate Tamiya. Tamiya is good, but it's also so bad at the same time. Like, it's always almost good to go together. Let me put the other arm on. At least get both going. Kind of know what we're up to. Probably gonna need more green stuff. But yeah, finding out that, like, because I was looking at Soulforged originally, and I was like, with Chaos, because my whole thing with my Thousand Suns is I wanted to be able to March of the Machines, the army, which is mostly walkers. I love walkers, man. Walker mechs are my favorite thing in the entire 40k universe, because there's always such horrifying lore behind, like, how they're used and why they exist. It's like, from any side, it's never like, oh yeah, they invented this cool mech you pilot. Instead, it's, oh dude, tons of people died. Their souls were trapped in some stones, and they were put into this giant device to continue to fight. It's like, oh, what about these guys? Oh yeah, one of their soldiers who was really, like, high up in ranks died horribly on the battlefield. We need to try to flatly even these out. Like, it's never good what happens to these, like, walker mechs. It's always just, like, the most brutal story possible. main thing here is just to hold, because we are going to grab more, I think. Rah. So, like, I just love Walker-style mechs. And Thousand Suns don't exactly work well explicitly with Walker mechs. Like, they're okay. But they're not what you would want on the field, like, strategically speaking. But then you start looking at things like this new faction. You're just like, yep, this is it. Let's get more green stuff together. Gotta make so much green stuff. I'm just gonna full on shoulder join it, I think. We got some time before it dries, which means we can position it the way we want going forward. There's just so many fragile parts on this thing, man. And you do have to get kind of rough with it with the green stuff, so... God, the other one? No, the same one. What's up, Case? I kind of want to get him to the point where he's freestanding today. Like, that's... He'll probably still have the little thing under him till it dries, but I want to get him the rest of his component joints done today. It's going to be a big thing. If we can do that, that'd be great. euphemism, Goblin. Man. Don't believe so. Can always drop it in the Discord. Unless it was one, I know someone linked one forever ago to be like, hey, this is how you can convert a Defiler, but it was like you had to buy a Defiler and a Plague Drone and then merge the two, which is alright. Definitely looks better, but you still get like the blocky crab legs, which I think is like the worst element of the Defiler. It's just how the legs are designed. I mean, the upper half sucks as well, because it's also blocky. Where did you post it? Did you post it in the Discord? Or did you message me it? Because you might as well post it in the Discord. Show off some conversions. Like, that's the crazy part, though. Like, if you could match the full visual aesthetic of the Plague Drone with the legs, which I don't know how you would do it, it would be perfect for, like, a Death Guard Defiler. Because that's just flawless. That's exactly what you would want. Is that weird, like, smooth, rounded surfaces with, like, that decay element attached to it. It's the ideal. Right? But you gotta nail it, like, universally. Because, I mean, once you get the blocky legs on that Defiler, it's just like, oh, man. It feels so bad, because it's like, oh, I put all this work in. Only to be ruined by the Defiler. We might need more green stuff, now that I'm looking at it. Because we can kind of... Kill Team's been around long enough that I feel like we're gonna keep getting some like cool combos, because people want to be able to play the game, but they want their stuff to feel very personable. So even doing things like running the one Necromunda all-female team as a blooded team, which is what Can You Roll a Crit does. You're gonna play blooded teams, you're probably rarely gonna play a blooded team like his for that very reason. And it's just because people want, like, special things now, I think. Like, that's probably the best part about Kill Team, and a lot of people have talked about it, is you need so little that when it comes to the idea of kit bashing, like, for my Vash army, right? I love what I'm doing here, but if you were like, yo, do you want 2 Defilers? I would punch you clean in the face. I'm not doing this again. Once is quite literally enough. You would have to pay me, if like you wanted a similar one, you would have to pay me so much money. I don't want to do this again. Need to reassess the stand. Do I have small enough wire? Oh, we also got to cap the shoulders. I kind of want to finish this out. Put a little glue in the joints. We need to let that dry a little bit. But I need to find a way to, like, lift it. We're gonna have to lift it up and then hold it because it looks like the weight is pulling down a little bit. I need something thin-ish. There we go. Oh, come on. Because, like, the key element here is that I don't want... There we go. I kind of don't want the hands to be touching the ground when it dries. So if I can just make sure there's that much distance, that'll be good. Someone message me. We have these, but at the same time, we're gonna kind of limit that. So I wanted it to be a little more scarab-like. So the idea is to get some green stuff and work it up to segment this as like a head armor. And then we'd have like the shoulder plates as well. I think that was the method we decided on. Unless we plan on doing like something like this. At which point this is still kind of a viability. The main goal is to try to limit the overall feel of this is a knight, right? We also have chain work to do. Like, there's a lot we got to do on this, man. Like, I was gonna apply some chain work down into here and then have it come up. To like components back here. I think the main element we need to think about though right now is hind legs. I need to get to his hind legs. Where's the hip caps? The hip caps should be on here somewhere. There we are. What up, dragon? What do... That's good. we go. So how the hell do we do the hind legs? I think the main goal was we were probably going to have to figure out how to hook this up top, like in like a midpoint. And then these were actually going to just come off the back of it. Kind of makes it a little more narrow than I would like, but I can't find any like further attachment function that I feel like works, right? Like that's good enough. Because you don't want to like quadruple join it. Like that looks weird as hell. And the problem is that the actual hind legs from the Mauler Fiend, they're too short. Like they needed to have been fully extended like this for me to even think that they have value here. Kind of don't want there to be a pipe on this. So I have two of these loin shieldings. I think the best place to put them is actually something along this line. To give a little bit of armor cover to the front of the mech. Most likely we're gonna have to green stuff the joint. This isn't going to hold. I'm gonna pull the weapons off for now. They're getting in the way. We kind of know where they're going. They fit. So what I'm thinking is the idea would be basically we just need to green stuff attach somewhere here. Even if it has to be like at an angle or like flat down. It needs to be like a light, kind of a layer up at least. So definitely, I think, huge green stuff ball. And then we kind of do it here and then pull it back through. And the main rationale for this, and we're going to have to kind of hold it, is that these are going to go kind of like back. And then we might figure out something cool to put over top of this. For now, where's the exhausts? Oh, what am I doing? Is there something we can put over top of it to make it feel okay? We've got extra shoulders, so maybe like one of these that we can kind of put the ball into and then attach. I feel like it went on smoother this way. Trying to think, my armigers had their own pieces of armor. Maybe this. I don't like most of these shapes. All right, giant ball of green stuff. Here we go. Last time I went to the local store, they had like 4 boxes of this green stuff still in stock. So worst case scenario, I'm gonna have to go get more like tomorrow. But we're not that far worked through them, so this works out. We're doing okay, I feel. Making a green stuff ball. This is like the best music for this green stuff ball. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with this top part. But I do want to make sure that this is at least level and exactly where I would want it to be. That way, while it's drying, it's just drying at center, which is what we would want. I mean, you can see how it's going. We're getting into it. We're working out the rear hip joints. We finished the front melee. And now I get a phone call. Give me a second. All right, phone call done. So this really does come down to just how tall I feel like making the midsection. Because he's gonna get back armor. So I'm almost not too worried. We are going to need the tiny green stuff ball, the inner joint, I feel like, because I do want to extend it a little bit outward. So we got 2 legs. I feel like we'll build the legs regular. Regular legs. that's both the feet. Feet. Sometimes you gotta pay people extra to see this. Hashtag War Dog Feet. So I'm gonna try to get more footage this weekend of Spearhead. And then we're gonna do hopefully a video that I can get together next week going over Spearhead. And then I kind of want to focus in and try to get an early-ish, I mean, it's been out for a bit, so it's not really that early. Just a video overview, kind of in my standard how-to system, going over the AOS rules. I actually really like how the AOS rules are laid out, because it is very much like a call and response system with either reactions or full-on abilities. It's just really nicely kind of organized. What's up, Shammy? It's good to see you're on vacation. Oh, I think I screwed up. So hard to tell which one's which. There's like one long and two small. Kind of makes it a problem, though. I almost want to see if I have two matching demon blades to put down here instead of this. Which means we need to take a look, and I should. I honestly should. Oh, no, maybe I don't, because I gave my one demon prince the sword. If I had two demon prince swords, this would be easy mode. Oh, wait. My bowls. Did I give every single one of my bowls a sword? I think I might have. Because I don't like the idea of the front two legs being chain swords. And then the back two legs just being regular old feet. That doesn't feel right. But if I had two very large blades, you know, just abnormally huge. Problem is I feel like I have one huge blade that matches the other. And that's it. Grab some swords. Let me bring this bag over as well. Where is my Demon Prince parts? I could have sworn I had a bag explicitly for Demon Prince parts. Found it. Bring that over. Pretty much nothing in these smaller bins of value to me. We're gonna have to sort something out. Whoever does the Age of Sigmar side is so much better at writing rules than whoever does the... Like, if you came out and told me the same person writes the rules, right? Like, if you were just like, Chemerics, it's the same guy, I wouldn't believe you. You could not argue with me enough to make me believe that, in fact, it's the same team writing the same rules. You couldn't. That's not how this is gonna work. Because the AOS side uses so much in line with things like flow charts and just all that stuff that, like, yeah, that's what you want in a rule. Like, that's what you want in a game, is to know exactly how things work. And whoever's working on the AOS side of the game gets it. Like, every single time, they're just like, oh yeah, here you go. And you read what they tell you, and you're just like, oh shit, this is perfect. They never miss, is what I'm saying. They always do it where there's like a core section that tells you the exact sequence of a turn. Which, AOS, right off the bat, active player, every single round gets to do everything they want to do at the beginning. The only thing that'll change that are reactions. There's a flowchart that explicitly shows you how reactions work. Because it's a person makes a maneuver, if there's a reaction possible from either side, you can both react. The active player chooses the sequence, which means if I have a reaction to an action I take, and so does my opponent, I can choose to react first or second in sequence based on what my opponent is capable of doing. Like, it's just a well thought out system. To the point where I think I brought this up. Let me grab my water because I'm thirsty. Oh. I'm pretty sure I brought this up. Like, when I was playing over the weekend, there was a moment where my opponent was like, all right, it's your shooting phase, well, I'm going to use this ability. And I was like, nope, can't do that. He was like, and he genuinely was like, well, where does it say I can't do that? And I immediately pointed him to the section where it said specifically that a turn is like how it works. Because I also walked that road of being like, oh, well, if it's call response, then there's a lot of cool interactions that can occur where you have to be very careful with the maneuvers you make because you'll get caught out by opponents who happen to have reactions on hand. But then, like, you start looking into it and you're just like, oh, you actually don't need to worry that much. Not that crazy. Where's the leg padding? Here it is. I'm also going to need the hip joining. And we figured out why you're not allowed to do certain combinations in your turn based on the rule of one. Because the rule of one has like 4 bullet points. And those 4 bullet points persist into every rule in the game. Where's the hip joints? I should have 2 more hip joints. Oh, here they are. So I think it could be cool to do a rules video for it, because it won't be that hard. I mean, up front, you go over the core specific rules. The rule of 1, and then, like, that's it, right? You then talk about the phases that matter. I think, like, the thing is, I think we do, we split the video into sections that are basically like, these are the spearhead rules, right? Like, simple enough. These are the spearhead rules. And then the additional rules, we go into like the matched play section. Because a lot of the rules roll over, just like movement, combat, stuff like that, and it would allow me to focus explicitly on the spearhead function. And then it's like, hey, all right, let's take a look at match play. Or let's take a look at general play, I guess. Because match play comes with the general's handbook and stuff. It's a whole thing. But it's just the way they designed it to be modular, to be able to shift and adjust based on the level to which you want to play is awesome. The fact that I can play basically their version of Combat Patrol and then not have to worry about like spell casting that can be countered and stuff. Spell casting still sucks, and I still think the core element of Disciples of Tzeentch that I'm leaning into, which is basically, how do I play this faction in a way where I'm not negatively impacted by a bad roll for fate dice. And there's 2 ways you can play it as far as I can tell. The first way is to not even care about your fate dice. Roll your fate dice, set them aside. If you roll well, good. If not, you don't really care. Because the core element of what you're planning on doing with your fate dice is actually, how do I put this? You're trying to keep as much fate dice on the field as possible, because you're going to have a damage spell that is really good as long as you have a full amount of fate dice. So you don't really want to touch the fate dice. If you roll well and you really need to use one, go for it. But outside of that, if you roll poorly, you can just be like, oh, okay, well, I almost don't even need to keep these, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is every time I use Chaos Gate, I'm going to roll 9 dice instead of 4 to see how many mortals I throw at you. And it's just a really powerful attack. The way I'm playing Fate dice involves the demons, which I have a Lord of Change. The Lord of Change gets Demagogue, which does the, if you roll doubles for your cast, you get like +2 or +3 or something on the casting roll. It's a brutal number, right? It's really good. Then he also gets the book, which gives him +1 to the casting rolls. So if you roll poorly, right? If you roll poorly on your fate dice, what can happen? You can't do this with ones, because ones are a guaranteed miscast. But if you have like a +2 or a +3, and you really want to cast with him, if he's within range of Kairos and you use a +2, that's 4. That also triggers Demagogue, which I think is +2. It's +2 or +3, but you're already at 6. You get the book, which is 7, which is most of your spells. If you're near Kairos, you get 8, which is a lot of the high-end spells. So that's like, if you roll poorly, you can still get to an 8. Kairos is the same way. Kairos gets the +1 passively because of who he is. But if you rolled 3s, and you rolled 3s and 1s, you could take a 3, you could take a 1, and then you turn the 1 into a 3, so you have 6, +1 for Kairos, 7. So you have abilities, and then if you have a ton of 1s, the rest of your army is demons, which that's what reinforced specifically is reinforced demons. So I'm gonna rush in with them, and if they die out, if the whole squad dies, in my movement phase, I'm going to spend a single one of my like really bad fate dice, like the ones or something. You just take a one, pick it up, set it aside, and then take half the squad of demons that died, which if you're mostly reinforced like I am, is a full-size squad of demons, and then put them back on the field. It's an extremely powerful concept, I think. So we're gonna do this. And I think most armies are going to try to be either a 2-drop or a 3-drop. We'll have to see what actual lists come out. But for the most part, what I've discovered is I can easily get to a 3-drop. I would probably have to buy some more stuff to get to a 2-drop. But because I'm going demon mode, I kind of want to have at least one frickin' chaos spawn on the field, because the chaos spawn is tied into so many demon abilities that, like, to go demons and not have at least one chaos spawn is folly, because you're gonna have a ton of spells that then just can't summon anything. So I could technically also do a Disciples how-to video with like my thoughts on how they're going to play out. Because there's actually a lot of really good combos in there. It just depends on what you want to focus on. Going Warflock, I think, is the way when you decide you don't want to care about like the casting rolls and or the fate dice, because if you go Warflock, you go the other route with them. Because rally dice don't aren't affected by fate dice. So you just get the rally dice bonuses and you just roll rallies on squads with like 7 rally dice and try to pull back almost your whole squad from death. Could do this way. Hey, hang on. Hang on, everyone. Alright, Mom swung through, dropped some stuff off. I think because the armor is low, maybe we do that. I don't know. I think they're the teams want to stay very separate, which seems weird to say. I feel like there's something here we can do. Oh God, that looks terrible. And they do feel very separate, and I think they're adapted for two different crowds. Because even though they worked to simplify the 40K rules, it really still feels like there's so much like minutia of BS. Where like you read it and you're just like, Jesus, there's so many ways for someone to interpret this one rule and adapt it to like suit their needs, that it just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't feel good at the end of the day. Like you get through it, you figure it out, tournaments set their standards, and that's fine. What the hell was that? But like, I guess the people who go with AOS are a little more anal retentive about rules. But like, why is that not the standard? Like, I feel like AOS is, and that's me wondering communal wise, right? Because all right, so there's a tournament that I watched on Wargames Live. It was up in Canada. It was at a comic book convention, and it was really cool because I think the tournament you pay, I want to say it's like $60 for a ticket, which is, it's not a lot from what you think about, because this is like a big tournament with a lot of people. So it's $60, and if I'm not mistaken, the core thing about it is the $60 gets you into the Comic-Con, which means you can also go to the Comic-Con on top of playing at the tournament, although the tournament's probably going to take up all of your time. It also covers food. Like, you're given lunch at this place for $60. They give you access to food for like 3 days. It was just really, really crazy. And every year they always have a ton of 40K players is basically the big thing. They don't always have like AOS players. Like AOS, according to the guy that runs the event, always feels like it's, you know, like limited in its scope. I need to figure out how to make these joints work. I do think I want to use these swords as kind of like standy pointy bits, maybe. Yeah, but like no one shows up for the tournaments, and that's what's crazy about it, in my opinion, is like why? I feel like AOS would be the tournament people would want to go to because there's no loopholes. Like you get the sense that the tournament's going to feel good to play in, simply because like the rules don't get weird. I think we do this. I think we actually build it like this. We'll have to figure out if there's like an armor component I can apply to it to give it like a better feel. Like if we do this and we go with like the green stuff this way. I feel like that's actually really good. Because you get the little bladed end, but it also doesn't feel too bad. You can probably even go lower. Like I could probably put it here and glue it in first. Because, like, I like the 40K stuff, don't get me wrong. But genuinely, AOS should be getting a little bit more attention than it really is. And even with the new rules... That's a triple. Let's be this one, then. Do I want to go that? Are they the same length? They are not. This one's slightly longer. Maxi Cure. For when you really gotta glue stuff together. unclear. I gotta make sure the angles are the same. I was right. Now we got a big green stuffed ball. Go ham. Is Old World actually dead? Like, I keep seeing people talk about it, and the thing is, Old World sold out. Like, okay, so Scaventide, every single person at the store was worried that they weren't going to get their hands on Scaventide boxes. Because they wanted to get all the stuff, they wanted to be able to play, and they were worried it was going to sell out because the Old World stuff at my store sold out. Now, of course, this is always bubble. Anytime you use your local store, you got to take into account who's shopping there. And it's like, my local community might really like the idea of Old World. I will say this, a lot of people bought it out. I have yet to see an Old World game happen at the store. That's just not like a thing that occurs at all, as far as I can tell. And my local store, like the one that I actually go to try to buy all my stuff because I'm trying to get them to like want to put on events again, because they're really getting back into events now that the COVID stuff seems to be, locally speaking, a lot more lenient. What's up, Arturo? Like, everything's basically back to, you know, go where you want, do what you want kind of stuff. Building is going good. We're coming to some decent, I think, conclusions. I want to try to get him to be freestanding today, is the big thing. And then tomorrow we'll probably work on the armor components on his back, as well as filling out a lot of the other armor elements. So like that store, my local store, has so much Old World that no one bought. So it's like very confusing, because the store that I go to for a lot of the events and tournaments is like just basically completely sold out of Old World, and then this actual local store is like, we want to get rid of it and we don't know how. And then I never see any games played. Like, that's always the part for me that's like, this is how you know if the game is gonna exist and be okay, is seeing games being played. I have never seen an Old World game played at all. So I can only assume that it's probably not gonna do well. I don't know. What, this guy? My Chaos Defiler? Not named yet. Oh, look at that. I need to record. Yeah, I could see that the sci-fi probably would allure more people, because, like, everything else is fantasy, right? Like, you play D&D for fantasy. Not a lot of people lean into, like, the cyberpunk games and any of, like, the cool sci-fi functional games as well. The focus is always on, like, D&D, right? Like, elves and stuff, and it's... For a lot of people, that's just not that interesting to have constantly. So, like, if you're gonna play something different, why should you play it in the same setting, maybe? I don't know. I don't know how else to put that, really. But yeah, it's good to see a lot of local people getting into AOS. It's bad to see that they're all getting into Soulblight. Like, recently they've been talking in the Discord about, you know, getting in for some games. And all of them are like, I'll bring my Soulblight. And then the other's like, oh, dude, I'll bring my Soulblight. And I'm like, fuck, I hate Soulblight. I think I figured out a way to keep the games close. But I hate the way it works. Like, I hate the way Disciples of Tzeentch need to fight Soulblight. Because it feels so cheap and cheesy. Because the whole thing about Soulblight and Disciples is I need to make sure you don't get into my shooter line. So if you get a good enough charge roll to get past my fodder line, you'll be able to because you fly. And if that's the case, then you'll tie up my entire army, which means I got a lot of people I need to fall back. But something I figured out is if I place 4 inches between my units, about 4, and then I put the terrain piece, the heavy terrain piece between them, so if you do charge past, you can't stand anywhere. Like, you're not able to charge past my units to get into combat with the other units because there's nowhere for you to land where you'll be able to be in coherency with yourself. The whole point is to do that, to just prevent you from being able to tie up all my ranged. So I can keep all of my Zangors in combat, which is where they want to be, even though they want to be in combat on your side of the board because of the exploding 6s. But then the acolytes get to, you know, shoot. Which is a lot different, for me at least, to try to get through and see how much damage I put out. Even though the core issue, I guess, for me with AOS right now is that the way the game exists especially for Spearhead, it's going to change a lot in Full Tilt. But in Spearhead, the game feels so wiffle-batty. Like, I was watching a person who plays Khorne take 2 turns to kill a squad of elves with, like, juggernauts. That's crazy to me. I didn't expect to see that at all. He charged them, and I was like, well, those are dead elves. Guess what? They didn't die for like 2 turns. The game is so wiffle-batty that units that you look at and think to yourself, well, this will be over quick, it's not. I walked over to the guy playing Stormcast, and like no one was dying in his game. It feels almost entirely like slow attrition. And you can have like an amazing roll. I mean, that's just how these games work. You could roll amazing in a round and be like, haha. Like I had a couple that wiped out my opponent's squads where I was like, oh, I hit you like 8 times. And then wounded you like 7 times. And then he didn't roll hot on his saves, and that was it. Like, he lost the squad. Gotta change music. But until you roll hot, the game is such an attrition-based game. We're looking through the rules of it too, and we're just like, oh, dude, this is gonna take a lot of time per fight. Like, I'm almost certain going into my buddies' like champion units, like hero units, it won't be as crushing and devastating as it was before. It probably will be, honestly, because once you get to the real rules, there's probably enough buffs and debuffs that can occur in a single action that he'll just crush like a 20-man squad, no problem. Manfred. But I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's going to continue that route. I'm interested to play a game though, like a full-blown game. But we've got about 4 weeks of this this escalation league. We'll see how it goes. I need to look into the flying ability, though. There's something a little off about flying. I need to make sure, the way the rules are written, that I don't actually need to physically see the unit to shoot it. Because if that's the case, then this will work. If not, then I can't really do it. Let me make a couple green stuff balls. So I can get these shoulder joints done for the arms, or for the legs. Because that's a key thing. If I actually have to still physically see a part of the model, it's just that obscuring and cover doesn't really help it, then my plan is kind of not, it's moot. It's not going to work. Mixing green stuff off camera. Today is a slow stream. Oof. Still needed to get stuff done though. Gotta get things done. I love how sticky these are. He looks very grasshopper-like. Yep, yep. Have fun at work. I have to like flesh this out and then bend it back. I know, right? I mean, by that point, his mind's already broken, right? Like, he's just like, I know I'm gonna die. And then that, the Imperium stuff kicks in, where he's just like, for the Emperor. Expecting, you know, maybe a good reincarnation or something. We're gonna have to kind of flex it. Oh god, I'm gonna have to glue that back later. The issue is it's still very loose, so I need to make sure that that gets flexed back down. These get pulled out. Gonna have to get something back here at some point to solidify all of this. Flex in. Just that. Settle it down to a decent level for its freestanding. We need to be very certain about how it's going to be positioned here. I feel like that's about done. Problem is I need to make sure these hips are lined up. No, yeah, he's coming together. I'm happy I decided to go with the bladed legs route. Problem is we're gonna need to let this really just dry. Because this needs to be pretty much just a solid brick. We're going to reinforce it in this back point here later on. But it's all very much still just drying. Put a little super glue on this kneecap that keeps coming off. There we go. Because, yeah, we got to figure out this top part next. We've got a few options, I think. One, we could probably... I got to shave down the symbols, but we could, like, hit this up. Like, this can be a huge armor component. Which might actually be the way we want to go. But that just means that at least one of these... We need to kind of shave this all off, I feel like. Unless we can do something else in front of it. Which, I mean, we've got a good bit of green stuff left. So I'm not really that perturbed. But the goal is to basically do like that into that. but then apply this off to the side. Is it 2? I might head out soon. I think we do the big armor plating for his back, because it kind of matches how the Venom crawlers feel. And like once we get this together, right? How do we apply it like this? I think we apply it like this. Because if we apply it like this, it just, I don't know. It doesn't feel as good maybe? No, because if it goes up, it's this way that you would want it. If it goes down, it would be this way. Ooh. Maybe we do this. And then just hit it like that. So then you put the green stuff there so you don't have to shave off this back part. And then we can just figure out what to apply here. And then it feels very Egyptian. It's like a piece of armor. Because then you have to consider the side is going to be like that. Right? But yeah, I think we'll call it here because we do really need to wait for this to start to dry up a little bit, because we will be reinforcing it later, because this whole back part here is going to get like a little bit of like an armor paneling or something of some kind, and then the green stuff is going to kind of organize itself into it to make this back hip joint feel better. So yeah, I think I'm going to call it here for today. It should be dry by tomorrow, which means we can get back to it tomorrow. It should be in its freestanding state, just about. The trick is, I want to make sure the arms don't look like they're holding it up. I want to make sure the arms feel like they're free floating, which for right now they are. They're close to the ground, but they're not quite on the ground. So yeah, now he's got melee. And then we have this sort of mini component here, which is probably going to get a little bit extra green stuff work. Maybe? It doesn't look that bad. It might get like armor plating. This has been fun. This is a wild build though. I did not expect this. Thanks for hanging out. Bit of a slow day. Apparently 0 concurrent viewers right now. Okay. Either way, I gotta get moving. Hopefully we can start getting some videos together once I get the Fire and Jade boxes in. And then we can really kick some ass. I'm gonna get some pictures of it so you guys can at least see it. And we'll go from there. Yeah. Till next time, guys. Till tomorrow, hopefully. Later.